Hello, my name is Rebecca Gill, and I am an SEO consultant and expert for WordPress SEO. And I wanted to explain to you today the importance of link building. The association asked me to just create a short video for you that just gives you a little bit of an overview of what it is and why it matters. I talk about on-page and off-page SEO a lot in my daily work life. I do a lot of training both individually for clients as well as I have an SEO podcast, I have an online SEO course, and I do a lot of virtual webinars and summits for a partner called iThemes. And so this is a topic that we talk about a lot because it really matters to internet marketing. So again, today I just want to go over just a little bit about what link building is and how it kind of affects your website or your blog, and how that will bring forth or negate traffic coming into your site. So when we talk about search engines, primarily we look at Google and we look at Bing, because those are the two main ones that we have concerns about. And there is Yahoo, but Yahoo actually gets its traffic from another search engine. So we really just focus on those two. And for today's review, I'm just going to focus on Google because for most of the part, if you follow Google, Bing kind of comes along with it. And Google is much better than Bing at providing information on what it likes and needs to help you rank a website or a particular page on your website. So when Google is looking at your website and in particular pieces of your content, it's going to look at both on-page and off-page activity to decide whether or not it wants to rank you. Now, SEO, I always try to educate people that SEO is a process. It's not just something quick that you do and you forget about it. It really is a long-term process that involves three big buckets. The first one is research. And just real quick, it's just trying to figure out who your target market is, how do you help them, that type of thing. And then you kind of think about what phrases might they search for to find your service offering. What does the average person look for when they're going to find their way to a website like yours? And then once we have that information and that knowledge, which we can get from interviews and reports and a lot of great places, then we start to plan. And that's the second bucket right here, which is basically, trying to match up those phrases that people would search for to individual pieces of content on your site. And while none of that is related to what we're doing today or we're talking about today, I want you just to understand that is the fundamental process of SEO, is that you have these three buckets. And before we ever create content or do anything with links, we have to have those guys in place to be successful. Then we come over to the execution. Most people jump right into execution and forget those first two buckets. But when we get to the execution, we really need to focus on writing high quality content and then making sure that we have some off-site factors to help the search engines understand what's going on with our website. So these off-site factors is really in a way for Google to understand the who, the what, and the why of you, and that somebody other than your dog visits your website. And I always use that as a joke, like your mom or your dog, because there are people that create websites and blogs and no one ever knows about them because they don't have any SEO in place to make sure that they get the word out about what they do and bring in that traffic. And so because there's so many sites out there that nobody ever goes to, Google has to use off-page SEO to figure out if your site is valuable and if it's important. So what is off-page SEO? It includes a variety of factors that just really help the search engine understand the quality, the authority, and the trust of your website or blog. And again, we refer to that as off-page SEO. And it's just basically, is your website trustworthy? Does it have authority over a given subject matter, a topic, or an industry? And do human people, consider your website and your content to be of high quality? These off-page SEO factors are what the search engines use to figure all of this out. So an example list of some off-page data points, because it's really what this is, it's just data, right? It's brand mentions and citations. So somebody mentioning your company name or your ranch, on the internet somewhere. They don't need to link it over or do any other action besides just that mention. It's your social media profiles like Facebook or your Google My Business account. It's activity within those accounts. So are people liking your Facebook page and commenting on things and being interactive with it? The search engines look at that kind of data. It's user reviews and recommendations. If you have a local business, super important. In the travel industry, super important that you have positive user reviews and recommendations. The next guy, which is the heart of what we're talking about today, is referring domains or backlinks. And I'll talk about backlinks in more depth in a second. Then we have local directories like Yelp and travel advisory websites and things like that that are giving additional data points to the search engines. Then we get to the boring things like domain registration and hosting, and those are far down the list and far less important. It's those other guys ahead of it that really make a difference. And in particular, out of that list, the most important one is the backlinks, because the web is just really made up of content and then links that connect everything together. So I always give a pro tip for people is, by default, people want to build those links into their homepage, which is great, but we also want to remember that we are building links into every other places within our website, and particularly anything that's most important for search engines to be aware of. So those off-site SEO factors that I just kind of listed above for you, I like to compare that because sometimes it can be, really confusing to people or feel intimidating. I just want you to think of them as like the homecoming king and queen contest that's at a football game in the US, right? How do they figure out who's going to be homecoming king or queen? They cast votes. How do we figure out whether a website is authoritative in their industry? We have votes, and those votes equal those inbound links. Okay, so what is a backlink? Here I'm talking about inbound links and backlink. A backlink is just simply a link coming from a third-party website or blog over to your website or your content. It's someone just like providing your web address on their blog or their piece of content and then sending traffic over to you. Those backlinks help drive brand awareness, website traffic, and they help with organic search rankings because their search engines have a better understanding of who you are and what you do. And again, some of the things that will go into these metrics, it's not just the link. We look at things like the trustworthiness of the link that's coming in, the popularity of that page, the relevancy of the content between the source page and the target page, the anchor text that's used, the amount of links on that same page. And now I'm getting to the nitty gritty, but you're getting a feel for what the search engines are taking into account when they look at this data. It isn't just simply a link, it's the value of that link. And when the search engines see one link from a Dude Ranch going over to the association website or the association website going over to a Dude Ranch, those have power because you're all in the same industry and you're authoritative within your industry and it makes sense. And when you start to have those links, it's helping the search engines understand, again, who you are, what you do, and who you can serve. So backlinks are so important that Google actually gives us information about them because they want us to understand the nature of our backlinks, and they want us to work at making sure our backlinks are prevalent and clean. So everybody who's listening to this video, if you have a website or a blog, you should have a Google Search Console account. It should be connected to your website. And once you do that, Google starts giving you information about the health of your website or blog. It also pulls information from your website or blog. So like if you have an XML sitemap connected, every time you make a change to your website, guess what happens? The search engines are made aware of that change and they want to come back to your site to figure out what's happened. That helps you better rank in search. But these links particular, and you can see them over here, they're just in this little guide and they're called links to your site. The search engines are not only telling us the total number, they're telling us what content is linked and the words used within those links. And again, they're doing this because it's important to them and they need to have this data so that they can figure out who you are, what you do, and how they should potentially rank you. So what are some sources of backlinks? There's lots of different places: social media profiles, local listings, review sites, groups and forums, and look at that one, associations. So, I'm assuming the association has maybe a list of members, and if it does, those links coming from that page back over to your website is important, right? Because again, it's helping the search engines find you and figure out what you do. Your links back to the association are also important because it's providing additional data points for the search engines. So these are all just things that we want to take into account when we're thinking about links and whether or not that we should have a link to a given website or not, because they do truly make an impact. And I just want to show you a few other data points. So one is a software called KW Finder. I use this consistently for looking at specific keyword phrases, looking at the volumes that they may have. So this left-hand side of the page is simply saying, so in the United States, actually, I'm sorry, this one is anywhere in the world. So anywhere in the world, in a course of a month, 18,000 people search for a dude ranch. Now we can change that down and we can go to a specific country if we want to, but that's important information. Dude ranch vacations is 2,400. The reason I'm showing you this is because when you look at reports like this in third-party software packages, they're giving us additional data. On this right-hand side of the page, it's showing me who's ranking on page 1 of search. And guess what one of the data points are? It is links. These are links that are coming into that specific URL. And then we've got Facebook activity. The reason this report shows this information is because it matters in who gets ranked on page 1 of search engines. And so it's not just me saying it, it is the SEO industry, and we all look at this data. When I'm working with a client and deciding what kind of keyword we want to go after, I'm going to look at this data and say, okay, can I beat these people? How many links do I have to have coming in, to really make an impact? And, granted, higher quality content can help limit the need for those links, but they are important. Another software package I use every day is called SEMrush. SEMrush gives me a nice overview of information for a given URL. I can go and look at mine or a competitor or a potential client. One of the data points it's giving me is backlinks, and that's because backlinks matter. SEMrush knows if you want to be successful with SEO and if you want to really be able to rank on page 1 of a search engine results page, you have to have some high quality backlinks. And they are giving us all this kind of data. Not only do they give us new and lost links, they show us exactly where the links are coming from. They show the different types of links, whether it's text or it's image based. And then we get into the nitty gritty of, is it follow or no follow? And honestly, I don't want you to worry about that. What I want you to worry about is I want you to understand the importance of links, and that links coming into your site make a difference to your ranking. And then links that you have going out to, say, like the Dude Ranches Association's website, make a difference for their ranking. And all of it together helps the search engines understand the who and the why and the what of you. And once they understand who you are and what you do, they can better position you in search. I hope that this video has been helpful. If you want more SEO information, I have a podcast that, if you like podcasts, it's really geared for real people with humans and that are not code-based, and that's just SEObits.fm. And that's it. I, again, hope this was helpful. Thanks so much.